find people who support you.
Yeah.
Find people who will help you grow. As women, sometimes we get caught in this trap that as we're trying to climb, as we're trying to advocate for ourselves, we're competitive.
Yeah.
And there is room for everybody. Hello, my name is Rebecca Call, Head of Process Software Consulting and System Integration Management here at TGW North America. And I'm joined by two colleagues, Meagan Gauthier, who's Business Development Manager for TGW North America, and Alessandra Caminati, who is Head of Solutions Design. Welcome, ladies. It's nice to have you back.
Thank you. We're happy to be back.
Yes. If you checked out our last podcast, you may guess what we're here to talk about. So last time we got together, we talked about women in the supply chain industry. We talked about speaking up for oneself. And today, I think we'd like to build on that. Mm-hmm. So we'd like to cover women supporting women. We'd like to cover some ideas of how empowering those relationships can be. And lastly, advice to future generations that are coming up in this particular industry and in the business world as a whole. To start, I think it would be a great idea to talk about women supporting women. So in your experience, have you had those relationships that empowered you, that had mentors or people who had trailblazed ahead of you? Meagan, what about you?
Yes, that's a great question. I am grateful to have had an amazing mother and grandmother. My grandmother is 95 years old, and we actually share the same birthday. And throughout my lifetime, they have always poured into me. And I'm grateful for my mom's decision, my parents' decision, essentially, to put me in extracurricular activities at a very young age. So I started in ballet when I was 3, as well as gymnastics, and I did that for almost 10 years. And I also danced at church, so I was always in girls' activities. And the dance teacher at church also has been an amazing mentor to me. I still call her to this day. She calls to check in and, make sure that I'm checking off what I call all the pillars. And all the pillars for me are pillars of wellness, which are my emotional, spiritual, social, financial, physical, and just personal pillars, just checking off all those things. So yeah, my grandmother, my mom, Miss Tavia, which is the dance teacher from church, and also as of recently, because now I'm in business development, I do a lot of traveling. So attending a lot of the women's events has allowed me to build up kind of like my Rolodex of mentors. And one is Wanda. She's been incredible to me. She also pours into me and just kind of guides me on my decision-making and gives me just really good advice. So I've had lots of women and I'm really grateful for that.
Thanks, Meagan. What about you, Ali? Women that have supported you?
Definitely my mom. And I always say also that my grandma from my mom's side, I always say that she was for sure one of the first feminists in Peru. She was a very big women advocate. Mm-hmm. And my mom is like that too. And it's funny because I grew up in a very female environment, I would say. So I have 5 sisters. My mom has 3 sisters. I have 6 nieces. All my very close friends, best friends that I grew up with, they are 8 girls. So it's all girls. So yeah, my life is about girls. And I think that that's why I'm very passionate about this topic, because it's so important. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I grew up, I have always been surrounded by all these incredible women. And even now that I live in Grand Rapids and I don't have all of them here, I also have great friends that they are also in the workspace and I'm in the corporate world. So we always kind of exchange learnings. We always provide feedback, different perspective, etc. So definitely I have always had great women. I mean, here in TGW, when I started all this journey in Austria, one of my biggest mentors was a friend and a woman. So she she definitely gave me a lot of encouragement to make the right decisions and say the right words to the right people.
Yeah.
So yes, thankfully I have always had great support from women.
That's funny. So I grew up in almost the opposite environment.
Yeah.
So I'm one of 8 kids. There are 4 boys and 4 girls, but I'm surrounded by boys. So I have an older brother and 2 younger brothers. So I was in the tail end of that group of 4, and I was the only girl.
Wow.
So I had a funny experience that I've never looked at in this particular light before. So my dad was very much, the guys did guy things and the girls did girl things.
Mhm.
And one day he was changing the brakes on his car. And I was 16 years old or so. And he asked me to go get one of my brothers, and he didn't want to come. And then, well, go get the other brother, and he didn't want to come. And then go get the other brother. Oh, he's at soccer. Well, I was out of brothers. So I was the one handing him the screwdriver or whatever to collapse the caliper. And so I'm watching and I'm watching and I'm watching. And at the time, my dad traveled quite a bit. He's in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
So he was doing a big job in Germany. So he left and he went to Germany. And he came back, and I had changed the brakes on my own car.
Nice.
And the brake pads, I'd never looked at this particular experience in this light, but the brake pads were sitting on the kitchen counter.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad asked my mom, what are the brake pads doing here? And she said, Becca changed her own brakes.
Oh, I love it.
And it was my mom who was like pushing for, and I never thought, like, even remembering I've told that story, I don't know how many times, but I never thought about my mom's role in that experience.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one who, I wanted to change my brakes. Great.
Yeah.
She was the one who told my dad. She's the one who kept them on the counter until he got home.
Oy.
And so it's interesting. Some of the women that we see supporting each other, we don't even kind of this background support system that just are part of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so in my own life, not just my mom, who was amazing. And if I could only be 10% of what she is, I'd be good. But other women, just in passing almost. So I met Wanda, and I think she's an amazing trailblazer in the industry.
She is.
She said some things that will resonate with me the rest of my career.
Mm-hmm.
But other people, I had one of the city council members that I was on Planning and Zoning Commission for a number of years. And she gave me a mantra that I used for years, and it was clear is kind. And so when we're trying to bring people to the table and we're trying to talk around things or be kind of diplomatic, clear is kind, because then people take the message away. But it's funny how many different women play, even in minor roles in our lives.
Yes, definitely.
So looking to you ladies for each of your own experiences, how have you yourself supported other women, whether that's a background role or, the coach on the phone or whatever else, that front player role? Ale, how have you supported other women?
So I always start is like saying you should define what you want to see in the future. So like if you want to see more women in the workspace, if you want to see more women in executive level, well, definitely then you have to work for it. And how? Well, supporting each other, like talking about exchanging learnings or even celebrating other success. Also, like what I was sharing in the last podcast, even like talking about these well-researched facts about women that also encourage others to do, let's say, the opposite, right? Like what I was also sharing is that, for example, I had this friend that she was changing work. So she was saying to me that she was struggling with a negotiation. So I told her like, hey, by the way, it is very, very well known that we don't negotiate high salaries. So if you have a number in your mind, just put 10% over it. And she's like, oh, wow, do you think so? Yes. Well, she did it. And they gave her that salary. So she was like very excited about it. And of course, we celebrated and everything. So to me, that's how I try to do it. And even like here at work, of course, mentoring or guiding others in their journey, or even like just listening about private challenges that they are facing, like just supporting, just be there, just listening. And if you have an advice, of course, sharing that advice. So that's how I do it.
And that's interesting because I think women are naturally empathetic.
Yes.
And so being there and being able to have someone vent or talk about the challenges that they're facing, that's kind of a natural role for us women.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
What about you, Meagan?
So I attended Southern University, and during my time there as an engineering student, I was the president of SWE, and SWE stands for the Society of Women Engineers. Prior to relocating, I lived in Louisiana because I was helping take care of my grandmother, and I was like, I need something to do outside of just working. So I went to my school during one of their kind of after school sessions, and I connected with, at the time, the current president of SWE. And we discussed inviting me back to do a professional workshop series, to talk about negotiations, how your resume should look, how you should show up at an interview, building confidence, public speaking, things of that nature. And so I did this development workshop series. And afterwards, all these girls kept coming up to me and they're like, Meagan, like, how do we connect with you? Like, we want to talk more beyond this. Are you available on Saturday? Can we talk on Sunday? And I'm like, no. I was like, honestly, I was like, I didn't have time, but I was like, when I went home that night, I was like, I need to figure out how to make time for them. So I essentially set up a mentorship kind of program. And now every weekend I mentor about 6 female engineering students. 4 out of 6 of them are actually graduating this December.
Congratulations to them.
And honestly, it's been incredible because really all this week, they just got back from the SWE conference, and I've been getting text messages throughout the day, late at night, and they're like, I got an offer. They all walked away with offers.
Isn't that amazing that we can share in their successes?
Yes.
We can celebrate them.
Yes.
That is really cool.
It's been incredible. And they are going to go out into the world and be amazing engineers and represent our school and represent themselves. And I'm really happy that I really took the time to really structure my schedule to make sure to make time for them. And now they get to reap the benefits of having a mentor, and I'm just excited for their success. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's
just
exciting.
brings me so much joy to help them.
So it's funny. I went out to dinner with a couple of former colleagues of mine who happen to both be women last week.
Right.
And one of them has recently changed employers. And I changed employers about a little over a year ago. And she essentially said, without my knowing, because I didn't work really closely with her, we were in adjacent roles. I saw her in passing. I passed along my logo wear when I left the company. But she looked at me as a mentor and I didn't even know it. And so it's interesting how much effect, positive and negative, we can have on the people around us.
Yeah,
definitely. I think that the more we talk about it, the better we'll be. And I really like what you're doing, mentoring other girls. Actually, that's something that I would love to also do in the future.
Come on.
Yes. and it's funny because, I mean, that's how, I will share that I have a couple of friends that they are also like very ambitious and they want also to support other women. And we came up with this idea of creating a podcast to talk about women in the workspace, our challenges, and also like the 3 of us are from South America. So we are also talking about like the challenges of working in a different country in a different language, etc. So, and our whole we wish, or our whole hope is that more women hear it and they feel identified with that and have like ideas on how to solve those challenges, because all of us has challenges every single day.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how powerful can be just to talk about it and just to also say, well, I had this idea on solving that by doing that. And probably there will be another woman hearing that and say, oh, that's actually a great idea. I will do it. And then you will help them. And
isn't it nice that we can break down some of the challenges that we've had to face, because they're struggles and sometimes they're painful.
Yes.
But we can help others not have to go through those painful experiences.
Yes.
Still reap the benefit, still reap the reward of the accomplishment.
Yes.
But without some of those, nicks, cuts, bruises that we got along our ways.
Yes. And just talking about it, because it's crazy like how other people will listen to you and we just give you like a different perspective and the perspective that you exactly needed.
Yep.
And it's like, I didn't think about it. That's a great idea. And it's crazy. I mean, we were talking about the power of talking.
Yeah, just communicating, or really all the best things start with a conversation.
Yes.
Even whether it's uncomfortable, whether it's challenging, whether it's difficult, it all starts with a conversation.
Yes.
And that's what we were talking about yesterday, like just having conversations, just bringing up, asking questions that may not be, that maybe you're not comfortable with asking in a public setting, but getting to maybe a smaller group of people and
Yes.
just challenging their thoughts, challenging, because as you mentioned, the pool of knowledge is the best when there's a lot of people contributing instead of just one individual, one mindset. There's more than one way of thinking.
Well, perspective matters,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so making sure that we have the chair at the table for every person
Yes.
to ensure that we get each perspective, to ensure that we get the best outcome.
Yes.
And it's interesting that you all mentioned that. I'm thinking how employers play a role in this, because a lot of times, their organization maybe isn't set up so well to have the conversations. I worked for one company where there was almost this line of separation between experience and inexperience. It didn't matter if it were male, female, older, younger. It just was experience versus inexperience. And it was only later that I found out that all of the things that I struggled through, that we now had standard operating procedures on, we had documentation on, we didn't even use, they didn't know about, they didn't leverage. And it's back to that, why get all the cuts, the bumps, the bruises? Why do that twice?
Yeah.
It was painful the first time. Why on earth would we choose to repeat that?
Yeah.
So how do you think employers play a role in this? Meagan?
Employers are the standard. They have to set the standard for opening the door to that inclusion for women. I'm actually really grateful. TGW is the first company I've worked for where I've seen so many women. Like, as you know, with my engineering background, a lot of the times I was the only woman in a lot of meetings, in a lot of company-wide town halls. It just wasn't that many women present, unfortunately. And so it is up to employers to set the standard to when they're interviewing, to make sure if you're interviewing 10 people for any role, half need to be women and half need to be men. At least diligently and proactively seek out women to make sure that they are invited and can even join the party.
I think that's interesting because I think also as individual women, we need to make sure that there are 5 women.
Yes.
I've needed to hire for roles.
Yeah.
And of the applicants, I have 50 males
Yeah.
and I have 2 females.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's back to, I think, Ale, on our last podcast, I think you mentioned something about a woman will only apply for a job if she meets 100% of the requirements, whereas a man will apply if he meets 60.
Yeah.
In order to do the 5 and 5, we, each one of us here and everyone listening, need to make sure that we're fostering those relationships, that we're empowering those people so that when it comes time to hire for the job, there are actually 5 women that apply.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Ale? How do you think employers play a role in all of this?
I mean, definitely I agree with what said Meagan. Employers are the ones who have to set up the standards. And I always say that it's important to fight for equality. So I always say this, like I'm not fighting to have privileges or benefits over men. I know that we are in this transition period of time, and definitely there are we see these conferences in the Congress that is 1 hour only for women. And I actually had one friend that told me, imagine if you see in a Congress 1 hour only for men, that will be discrimination. And I'm like, yeah, and I understand that, but you also have to understand that we are in a transition phase. I mean, hopefully in the future, we will see 50% of men and 50% of women in the same room. Yes. And then we don't need all these 1 hour conferences or only women or whatever. Yeah. So we're in this transition phase, and that's why we are speaking louder, and because we have to.
Yeah.
So I always say I fight for equality. I don't want to have a benefit over a man. So as long as the employer ensures that women and men are receiving the same training, the same opportunity for leadership, as long as everything is equal, then it's perfect. And I always repeat that the more women we have in the workspace, the easier it will be. Because right now I understand that at least in our industry, the majority are men. So the probability to see men in executive level is higher. It's just math. So it's normal. But the more women we start seeing in this industry, the higher probability to see all these women in the executive level or in senior roles. So for that reason, I always encourage women, even like in high school, college, like if you like math, if you see yourself as an engineer, just do it. Work hard and do it. I'm sure you will do it incredibly well. So we need more women in the workspace. And that's my way of always like lifting up others and just like motivating them that you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
So Ale, you mentioned a transition, or at a transition period. So what progress have you seen from an industry perspective, specifically the supply chain industry? What progress have you seen in inclusion, whether that's women of color? What progress have you seen?
Definitely all these forums. Like I was so happy when when I heard about all these forums and conferences only for women.
Women in supply chain.
And I don't know if it's something that lately happened, but definitely is new for me, like in my life. So I don't know if that has happened, like, or if that existed in the past, but definitely this is something that is existing right now and it's incredible. Yeah. And I was making some research, and there are even like these communities that are only for women. And the cool thing of these communities is that you will find women in executive level, in management level, women who are in the entry level, like a mix of everything. And what I really like the most is that whenever you are in there, everyone is equal. Like, so you have access to everyone. And that's something that I really like. So, and another thing that I have seen is that, it's crazy because I have been in this leadership role only for 4 years. But definitely when I started hiring, to me, it was very difficult to find women. At the beginning, I was like, I know that I shouldn't say that, but at the beginning, I was saying to the recruiters, like, I want women.
Yeah.
Well, it's back to the 5 applicants, right? If you want to hire for a role, you have to have the people.
Yeah. Yes, I wanted to have diversity in my team. And it was difficult to find women, even in the entry level. Yeah. And now, little by little, I'm seeing more women finishing in college. And so I'm interviewing more women, let's say. And thankfully, if you see my team, you can see that, we have women. Yes, it's diverse. Is. So, and I'm very excited about that. I'm still not half, but definitely it's a good number.
It's on the way.
Whenever I talk with recruiters and I say like, yeah, I have actually 30-40% of my team is they are women. They are like, oh wow. We have never heard that. So it's difficult to find women in this engineering field, in this industry, in supply chain industry. So I encourage anyone to come and join our club because it's awesome and we can do it.
Yeah. So it's funny, you mentioned some of the breakout sessions or whatever that are women specific. The one complaint that I've had, because I've been in the industry for a while, the one complaint that I have is just because we're women doesn't mean we need to talk about women things all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
The support group is the important part. Yeah. Being able to talk with other people and talk about their challenges. But I don't want an 8-hour session of just things that are specific to women. Like you said, we're engineers. We want to talk about technical things. We don't need the fluffy stuff in the women breakout sessions. Those are nice, and occasionally we need something like that. But that should not be the focus every single time.
Yes.
And so that transition, sometimes I think we sway a little bit. The pendulum swings a little bit too far. So Meagan, what about you? What are some ideas of progress that you've seen in this transition?
Similarly to Ale, she and I both attended the Women in Supply Chain Forum last year. And I had never attended an mostly all women, because there were men there as well. Let me clarify that. There were men at the Women in Supply Chain Forum.
Because it's important to have a seat at the table for everyone.
That is correct. It was men inclusive as well. It's just the majority, the 240 something people that were there. Most of us were women. And it was just great to see. Even at all of the major events, there's always a section or a breakout in the agenda specifically for women. And whenever the women are there, they always get up and speak and say, I remember when there was 3 women in this entire conference, and now there's a room full of women. Now there's an entire hotel block full of women. Like, we are showing up in numbers, and to Allie's point, things are changing, and I am happy to see it's slow progress, but I'm glad to see that women are showing up and we are taking those executive roles, and we are not only taking the roles, but we are, one of my good friends, Kia, she's an electrical engineer at Shell. She always says, send the elevator back down. The women in the executive positions are sending the elevator back down. I specifically remember one of the fireside chats at the women's conference. She mentioned that she, put her foot down to make sure that women were being hired. And I think that is incredible to hear from the top level, because if it's not being driven from leadership, then it won't happen. And so, yeah, one of the biggest changes is we're showing up, and we're showing up in numbers, and I'm excited to see how we continue to drive change and give our unique opinions and experiences, and I'm excited to be a part of it too.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. It is nice to share in the experience and to share in the experience together.
Yes.
I want to pivot slightly. So personally, I never exited the workforce, but I certainly changed when I had kids. And when I had kids, I wanted to be home with them. My personal choice, I didn't want them in daycare. And so I changed my career so that I could work from home. And my kids are 21 and 23. So this is quite a while ago. And I knew I was going to have to take a pay cut. And I knew I was going to have different set of responsibilities. And I knew that maybe my career would take a hit, but that was valuable to me.
Yeah.
How do we show up? And maybe Meagan, I'll start with you because of the 3 of us. I think you're the youngest. How do we support those young women in the industry? And how do we support their decision, whatever they choose, whether they choose to exit the workforce for a period of time and re-enter, or whether they are trying to balance outside needs, whether that's a young family or whatever else. How do we support young women in the workforce?
Supporting young women in the workforce always starts with the relationship that you have with them. If they don't feel like they can speak up, if they want to exit, for example, usually before someone exits, they know when they're going to exit. And it's important to have that support and be able to lean on someone to talk about that decision. But before that, they have to be comfortable enough to talk about that decision that they want to make, to exit, to pivot, to change their career. I did it. I literally pivoted from engineering to sales. And so the way we support them is by firstly seeing them, appreciating them, valuing them, and just honoring whatever decision it is they make. And as I said at the beginning, all that starts with a relationship. We mentioned in the last podcast that a lot of the times at these companies, there's always, I hate to say it, but there's always the good boys club. It's like it's like politics. It's like this group of guys they're the decision makers. This group of guys aren't the decision makers, but they get more influence to the decision makers. And then there's the women that aren't being listened to and aren't being supported, valued, heard. And so the way we support young women is by building relationships with them, making sure they're seen, heard, valued, and supported.
I think that's interesting. And I think from a manager perspective, understanding where they are in their lives and making sure that, I mean, frankly, as a manager, you invest a lot of time to train your people.
Right.
Yes.
And so if they choose to exit for a period of time and want to come back, I want them back.
Yes.
There was a big investment. And frankly, I hired them for a reason.
Yes.
Kept them for a reason.
That's a good point.
And so, Ali, you had an experience recently.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit of how you supported those young people on your team?
Yeah, definitely giving flexibility. So I had these young women, I still have, thankfully, this young woman who gave birth in February, and she stopped for 3 months. It's actually a very short time, but I was asking her, do you need a little bit more of time? If you need a little bit more of time, I will definitely fight for you. Because of course there are like all these rules within a company that you have to follow. But I understand also like how difficult it is to, I mean, I don't have children, but I can imagine how difficult it is to leave your baby like so little.
Yeah, I know.
So for that reason, I was definitely very empathetic with her and saying like, whatever you ask me to do, I will do it. So she decided to come back, I think that after 3 or 4 months. And then definitely when she came back, I said, I know that probably your brain is at home. No worries. I mean, I will not give you like a high workload. Just focus on training. Just take it slowly. And that's what she did. But she's an ambition woman and an ambition person. So she was working hard since the beginning. And that's something that I always say to her, like, I even say to her, I admire you. I mean, like, it's amazing all what you are doing, because I'm sure you are doing the same work at home and here you are doing it amazingly. So to me, it was more like recognizing what she's doing, giving the flexibility, and of course, guiding her, because she's also new in the industry. But to be honest, she's new, but you don't even realize that she's new in the industry because she's awesome. So I think that the more if you kind of build an environment where they feel comfortable and appreciated, you will be impressed on the results. And I have just experienced that, and it thankfully has been awesome.
You touched on flexibility. So Meagan, when I had my kids, I thought I knew when I was going to exit. I was very wrong because my body decided differently. I got really, really sick and was in and out of the hospital my entire pregnancies. And so my transition was that flexibility back into the workforce. When my kids were old enough that I was comfortable, so it was late junior high for the younger one, I was comfortable kind of re-entering into the traditional corporate world rather than self-employment, entrepreneurship, or whatever that may be. I tiptoed back in. I went not directly to 40 hours. And so that employer allowed me to step back in. Now, it didn't take me very long to go from not 40 hours to 40 hours of my own choice, but that flexibility was critical.
Yes.
So if you had one piece of advice, just one, to offer the next generation,
just one?
Just one. Just one.
Just one. I had like 15.
I also have like a couple.
I had a 5-paragraph essay on this. I'm going to break the rules here and give a few.
Perfect. Let's do it.
So the first one is be fearless. Be fearless. Fearlessly follow your dreams and fearlessly show up for yourself. The second thing would be to be authentic. Always be yourself. Don't let social media influence you. Don't let outside voices influence you. You know who you are. Show up fearlessly. Be authentic. Don't shrink yourself. Don't go into spaces and be small. Be big. As Ale said earlier, be loud. Be heard. Don't be afraid to use your voice to speak up for yourself and to speak up for others. Another piece of advice would be to be at peace with your decisions. Let me explain that a little bit. Sometimes we make decisions and maybe they don't feel the best in that moment, and we let it haunt us. We let things keep us up at night. And it's important to just remember to just be at peace with your decision and give yourself grace, because maybe at that time you just didn't have the knowledge. You didn't have the experience to know, like, you know what? This first job actually sucks. But that's not your fault. Maybe it was a toxic work environment. Maybe it was low morale, or you didn't have support or resources. So be fearless, be authentic, be true to yourself, be at peace with your decisions, and give yourself grace. I think that would be the best advice to give. That's the advice I would have wanted when I first got out of college, for sure.
Thanks, Meagan. What about you, Ali?
I also have a couple.
Yeah, good.
We're bad engineers today, breaking rules.
Yes. But I will start with belief in growth mindset. So define who you want to be and work on it. So I in my career, I heard a couple of people saying, no, you are who you born and you cannot change yourself. Well, that is not true. So growth mindset is important as long as you put an effort into it and work on it. So, and that's my second piece, work hard. And also don't be afraid of challenge yourself. If you struggle, you are growing and that's good. So work hard, just challenge yourself. That's good. That's positive. Another piece of advice will be don't overthink, just do it.
Yeah, that's good.
And surround yourself with good people because ambitious is contagious.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have people that you admire and also that can support you. Because as I said in the previous podcast, there will be hard moments. There will be moments in where you doubt about yourself. But if you have the right people to support you and to remind you who you are, then you will get over it. I mean, for sure. So I think that those are the most important advices that I will give.
Thank you, Ale. Now, for me, my experience is a little different. I have 2 boys. And the advice that I would give this next generation entering the workforce is no different than I gave my boys. You're young. You have time. And so don't feel like you need to carry the world on your shoulders today.
Yes.
Experience what it's like in different areas of a profession. No job is completely isolated from everything else. You have contact. So if you come in and you're an engineer, talk to project managers. See if that's something you like. If you come in and you are a software developer, talk to the architects. Talk to salespeople who are involved in the decision, because that may lead you along a path that you wouldn't otherwise know.
I like that.
And just like both of you said, find people who support you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Find people who will help you grow. As women, sometimes we get caught in this trap that as we're trying to climb, as we're trying to advocate for ourselves, we're competitive.
Yeah.
And there is room for everybody.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your educational background. You bring value.
Yes.
And so understand that there are opportunities ahead. You don't need to solve everything today.
Yes, I like that.
Good advice.
So we have some very young people at TGW. We have some very experienced people at TGW. One of the things that I love is that we partner each other. And so we find people who can mentor other people, and they may not look the same. It may be a woman mentoring another woman, but it may be the opposite.
Yes.
And there's opportunity, and you learn from that value, that different perspective. You learn from that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I would like to touch. So one of my greatest mentors is a man, and he's a man that is actively supporting women. And I love that. So it is not all about women. There are also men who are great women advocates.
Absolutely. And I've had the same.
Yes.
Meagan, have you had that same experience? Because it's nice to have women who mentor you. It's nice to have men who mentor you, but there's different perspective and you learn different things.
Yes, absolutely. I have to call out Jeff Rhodes. So funny story. Before I started working here, I had not even come on site yet. It was like before first day. Jeff, who is a director of sales here at TGW for the audience, he reached out to me on LinkedIn and he's like, "Hey, Meagan, I know you started on Monday, but we're looking forward to welcoming you here at TGW, especially in sales. And by the way, make sure you ask your manager if you can go to Urban for a site visit as well." And in my mind, I didn't know Urban in that way, right? So I'm just like, Urban, what is he? I was like, I haven't even, I guess, I don't know. But him reaching out to me before I even started, and then even after I started, he's always been so supportive. And he's absolutely a true women's advocate. And I also have to mention my manager because he there's not a meeting that I haven't had with him where he hasn't walked away without telling me he believes in me. And that's really important, having that visibility and him speaking up on my accomplishments without me being in the room. And so my manager, Stipe, and Jeff Rhodes, definitely.
I don't know
women's
if you know
advocates.
that Jeff Rhodes is the reason I'm at TGW.
Oh,
I don't know that
nice.
you've ever heard that. So Jeff and I have worked
No.
together for a number of
Nice.
years.
Jeff is the
and he
glue.
worked on me for 3 years to get me
Uh-huh.
to TGW. So when I was ready for a change,
Uh-huh.
he was the first person I reached out to.
Yeah, wow.
Perfect.
Shout out to Jeff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ali, you were going to say something?
I really like what you mentioned
Mhm.
because definitely men can support women in different ways.
Yes.
Like, for example, I already said that one of my greatest mentors is a man. He's Dave Hewitt. He also works here in TGW. And the way how he's guided me a lot in many of my challenges, but something that I always try to share with more women or with more people is that he helped me to identify my main motivators.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked me to write my story. And then once I had my story, he said, okay, based on this story, what are your 2 main motivators? And that's how I identified that it is definitely women and the Latin community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's awesome because since I identified this, I started doing many things around these topics. And I realized that I'm very passionate about that. So to me, it comes out very naturally.
Yeah.
So then is when I started like participating in schools or actively searching for trying to meet other women, participate in conferences, and all of this started happening. Like also like building the podcast, etc. So it was everything thanks for him. So I'm infinitely grateful for him.
I love that.
But yeah, definitely there are different ways how men can actively support women.
My dad used to tell me, and I'm sure that everybody's heard this particular mantra before, but find a job that you're passionate about, that you love, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Yes.
And for me,
that's true.
I love my job. I love our industry. I love what we do. And so when I come to work every day, it is because I want to, not because I have to.
Yes.
And so for me, I have an amazingly supportive husband.
Yes.
I tell everyone he is by far my better half. And that is 100% true.
Oh, I love
Yes.
it.
He also works at TGW.
Yes.
And we enjoy working together. We support each other. And having that strong foundation allows for me to do what I do. And sometimes he undersells himself. He doesn't realize how much of an influence he has, but I could not be me without him. And so I look at these women entering the workforce. I look at these younger generation, and whether it's a partner, whether it's a parent, whether it's a grandparent, find someone who can support you, who can strengthen you, who can be there when you need to vent and cry on their shoulder, but also who can challenge you to be better.
Yes.
Because like you mentioned, Ale, when you're struggling is when you're growing.
Yes.
My dad coming home from soccer games, whenever my brothers would lose, he would say, who learned the most? Not the people who won. The people who lost learned what not to do. They learned a bunch of things that now help them to be better.
Yes.
And so I think that TGW does a good job at challenging us and ensuring that we're in the right positions, ensuring that we have the right opportunities to move forward. And so I think that that's one of the things that I would like our audience to take home is find employers who challenge you to be better, but set up an environment for you to grow. And it doesn't matter if you're male, female, whatever your background is, find places where you can grow.
Yes.
So then I want to ask each one of you, what's one thing that you hope that our listeners take home from this podcast? So Ali?
I will be a little bit straightforward because that's how I am. So don't play a victim in your own life. If you do nothing, nothing will change. That's to me very important. There are always 2 ways how you could react. And we shared already many different examples in where either you believe on what someone else is saying about you, or you take control over your life and you decide who you want to be and take another path. So just do what you want to be, define what you want to become and do it.
Thanks. That's really good advice. So Meagan, what about you? What's one thing that you hope our viewers take home?
Be true to yourself. If you know your strengths and weaknesses, you can show up and know how to add value, whether that's personally or professionally. And as I mentioned before, I'll keep it short and concise.
Mm-hmm.
If you know yourself well, then you can show up and be an asset wherever you go.
Thanks, Meagan. That's really important.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I certainly hope you enjoyed this particular episode of our podcast. Please, if you want to learn more, if you want to reach out and give a shout out, reach out to us on LinkedIn. You can reach any one of us. And ladies, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you,
Also,
This
Rebecca.
has been a lot of fun.
It has.
And I hope you'll join us for a future podcast.
Yes.